he's one of those people, and you always know him. You've known him, people like him, or people like, and it might have been a woman in your life, who just walked a walk with the Lord that you didn't experience, you didn't know yourself. Somebody who was closer to God than you were. And it was very evident. This person was just, it was difficult to be around him because just being around him, you felt convicted for some reason. But I remember one day, and I don't remember the circumstances of it, but we were in class there, and he decided to have a prayer time in the class. And so in the prayer time, we all had our heads bowed, and he wanted all of us just to be praying and to offer prayer. And so a few of us were praying, and we prayed and offered prayers. And I remember one of us was praying, and he stopped them. He just stopped the prayer time, and he proceeded to chew us out. He said something to the effect, "This is the worst display of praying I have ever seen." And he proceeded to tell us why. And we were all just agape, just shocked. What does this guy think he is? What's going on here? And after he was done chewing us out, he proceeded to pray and ask God to forgive us. He was praying on our behalf, asking God to forgive us. And I remember, well, he closed his time of prayer, went on with the class, and I remember it was over. We had this room that we go into to get our mail, and there were usually donuts and stuff in there. And when he was gone, I remember everybody was like, "Who does that guy think he is?" And they were all expressing how angry they were with him and how dare he. He doesn't know what's in my heart. He doesn't know what's in my mind. And while I didn't say anything, and while I was a little bit shocked too, I didn't say anything in that room because I knew in my heart that he was right. Because there was, in that prayer time, a shocking lack of maturity and depth. That we were all, for the most part in that room, we'd been Christians then for a decade or longer, and there was no reason why we should be exhibiting, at least in his mind and in his spirit, and I agreed with him. It wasn't anything I guess you can accurately gauge, but I understood what he was talking about. And I guess there was a sense in which I respected him for doing that. I would never do that. I'd never dream of doing something like that. That's the kind of stuff that happens in college that is very instructional. But I remember thinking, he's right. And I remember from that day onward desiring more for myself than what was acceptable, or with what most Christians thought was acceptable prayer life. I wanted something deeper. I wanted something greater. When I lived in Arizona, and I'll close with this, when I lived in Arizona, I used to drive to visit my brother and his family in California. And when you drive across the Sonoran Desert west to California, when you get to the California border, the most amazing thing happens. You get to this place that was a desert, bone dry. You pass 29 Palms, and when you pass 29 Palms, it's just a desert. But all of a sudden, you come at the border to this oasis where everything is lush and green, and it's an otherworldly, ethereal place because there are these mountains that line what is almost a canyon-like, and on top of these mountains are spinning thousands of these windmills, which are generating power. And all the homes, and there are all these housing divisions that you pass, all these homes have on top of them these solar panels. And it occurred to me one day, as I was driving through there, that for centuries, for millennia, for thousands of years, the sun beat down on that land, and the wind roared across that desert floor, and the Colorado River spilled trillions of gallons every day of fresh water into the ocean. And I thought to myself, into the Gulf, and I thought to myself that day, for all that time, nobody ever harnessed that sun. Nobody ever harnessed that wind, and nobody ever harnessed that river. But now, here in 2009, here you have, in this place which was formerly uninhabitable, you had this oasis in which all these homes were powered by wind and sun, and you had this river, which before was spilling needlessly into the Gulf, was now watering millions of acres of land. And I thought to myself, how true is that of my current state with God? How much wealth and power and resource am I having wasted every day because I haven't learned how to harness it? What great wealth and blessing of God is mine today that's spilling into the Gulf, that's just beating into the ground, that's just roaring across the floor of my heart and not being harnessed? That's the point of being a Christian. And I pray that what you gain from this today is a desire to go home and get alone with God and plead with him as Jacob pleaded with God across the Jabbok River, and as Elisha pleaded with Elijah here in this account, to demand that you're not going to go another day without being able to harness and make for your own the great power and blessing of God. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we are indeed guilty for our spiritual poverty. You've said as much, that there's nobody that's going to be held accountable for our lack of righteousness than us.